Okay, so have you ever felt that thing like you're surrounded by people but still feel kind of disconnected?
Yeah, like you're at the office or maybe even at a family gathering, but still.
Right, it's like everyone's just on their own little island, just going through the motions. You know that feeling? A little bit of the burnout blues, or maybe just the weight of the everyday?
It's a common experience more than people realize, I think.
Definitely. And when I get like that, I sometimes think about that whole world of Dunder Mifflin in the office, all those strange little office dramas and the absurd meetings and the well questionable management.
What's interesting is why a show depicting such a specific and often kind of odd workplace resonates so widely. You're watching this paper company in Scranton, but so many of us connect with those characters and their experiences.
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today.
Mm.
We've talked before about finding meaning in unexpected places, and this time we're looking at the theme of community and isolation, using the office as our guide.
Sounds intriguing. What kind of insights are we hoping to uncover?
Well, it might seem like a lighthearted starting point, but we're aiming for a soft, thoughtful exploration of how those small, sometimes ridiculous moments can actually speak volumes about some pretty significant human experiences. You know how those little things can sometimes feel so big.
Right, the little things that can snowball.
Hmm.
And if we zoom out a bit, what we're really looking at is the human instinct to find connection even in environments that might not naturally foster it.
Exactly. And how often it's those seemingly insignificant things like a shared joke or a silly tradition, or even just recognizing a shared absurdity that can act as anchors that prevent us from feeling totally adrift.
It's like those moments create a shared reality, a sense of belonging, even in the most mundane or chaotic environments.
Absolutely. Because when you think about it, the office is overflowing with those moments.
Mm.
I mean, it's all the cringe comedy and the chaotic energy. They're these little sparks of community, these small creative acts that the characters engage in, almost as a way to cope with the monotony and at times the soul-crushing nature of their work.
Their own little acts of rebellion against the mundane.
Yes. And those are the nuggets we want to explore today, how these simple joys and shared struggles can actually cut through burnout, affirm those feelings of isolation that we all experience, and even offer a sense of hope and strength.
I'm curious to see how these seemingly trivial moments translate into something deeper.
Me too. It's about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. So why does a show that so brilliantly captures those often isolating and, let's be honest, often frustrating aspects of work life actually bring us a sense of comfort and amusement?
Hmm. Well, perhaps it's because we see those characters navigating their own versions of the mundane, the irritating, and even the deeply lonely parts of their day to day.
And doing it in such a relatable way.
Exactly. And in their own quirky ways, they find methods to cope, and often those methods involve creating their own little pockets of community.
Like those little inside jokes or the shared looks, they really make you feel like you're part of the group, even as a viewer.
You feel like you're in on the secret.
Yeah. Take the pranks, for instance. On the surface, it's just Jim being Jim and Dwight being, well, Dwight. But if you look closer, isn't there something about that ongoing prank war that actually binds them?
I see what you mean. It's a shared history, a unique form of interaction in an otherwise predictable environment.
It breaks the routine, gives them something to anticipate, and definitely something to talk about beyond sales figures. And it's not always about genuine affection, but about creating that shared reality.
Even conflict can be a form of connection. They are engaging with each other, disrupting the isolation of simply processing paperwork in individual silos.
And they make it so funny.
Exactly. And it's not just the grand pranks. Think about the little things, the way they chime in on each other's personal lives, the often inappropriate but sometimes heartfelt advice, the shared reactions to Michael's latest blunder.
It's those little rituals, those unspoken understandings, the inside jokes that accumulate over time. It's like they build this patchwork quilt of shared experience that makes even the most tedious workday a little more bearable.
It humanizes the workplace in a way that many of us crave.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to draw out here. By looking at the office through this lens, we can start to see how these seemingly insignificant interactions actually play a crucial role in navigating those feelings of isolation that can creep into any work environment, any community, really.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of the mundane, those human connections, however small, can be incredibly powerful.
So the goal isn't just to reminisce about funny moments from a TV show. It's to inspire a bit of critical thinking about our own environments.
How do we, like the characters in The Office, navigate hardship? And let's acknowledge that the show often portrays the absurdity and challenges of work through shared experiences, through finding moments of levity, through creating our own forms of connection.
It's about recognizing the resilience and the creativity inherent in the human need for community, even in unexpected places.
We are social creatures by nature, and we find ways to connect even in the most unlikely settings.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, thinking about the surprisingly insightful, albeit fictional world of Dunder Mifflin, what are some of the core ideas that stand out for you? Things that our listener might find particularly relevant?
Well, what becomes clear is how those seemingly minor interactions and, as you said, the antics within the confined and often isolating setting of the office highlight our fundamental human drive to connect with others.
Like we're hardwired for connection.
Exactly. We see these characters, despite their differences and the often dysfunctional nature of their workplace, constantly finding inventive ways to forge their own sense of belonging. It's a testament to our innate social nature, our need for affiliation, even in environments that might feel quite alienating.
Right. They essentially create their own unique social ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And within that ecosystem, even the smallest shared moments, like a quick chat by the water cooler celebrating a birthday, however awkwardly participating in a ridiculous office game, these all contribute to a sense of collective identity, a feeling that they're all in it together, for better or for worse.
They find unity in the shared experience of work, even when that experience is often absurd or frustrating.
And let's not forget the power of humor in all of this. In the office, humor acts as a vital release valve. It diffuses tension, provides a common ground, and it's an incredibly effective tool for building bonds.
Laughter is a universal language. It transcends differences and creates a sense of shared understanding.
Think about how many memorable moments from the show are rooted in shared laughter and finding the absurdity in their daily lives.
It's like they're saying, yes, this is ridiculous, but we're in it together and we can laugh about it.
And that shared laughter creates a sense of camaraderie that helps them get through even the toughest days. It really makes you think about your own experiences. What are those small, perhaps easily overlooked moments of connection and even creativity that might be offering you a similar kind of support in your own workplaces or communities, even if you haven't consciously registered them as such?
It's about tuning into those seemingly insignificant interactions that actually contribute to a sense of belonging and well-being.
Have you ever experienced those office-like moments, a shared laugh over a minor mishap, an impromptu bit of silliness that actually created a stronger sense of connection during a time that might have otherwise felt isolating?
I think we all have those moments, but we don't always recognize their importance.
It's so easy to dismiss them as trivial or unproductive, but maybe those are exactly the threads that weave together the fabric of our social connections.
They are the glue that holds us together even when we feel like we're falling apart.
So here's a final thought to really sit with. In a world that often seems to emphasize these grand, top-down solutions for big societal challenges like isolation and burnout, could it be that some of the most profound and effective remedies are actually found in the simplest, most human interactions?
It's a thought-provoking idea.
Maybe it's in those everyday shared moments of levity and the inside jokes we build and the unexpected acts of kindness, much like the often hilarious and surprisingly heartwarming occurrences we see at Dunder Mifflin, that we find the real antidotes to feeling disconnected.
It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest things can have the biggest impact.
And that even in the midst of chaos and absurdity, there's always room for connection and joy.
We just have to be open to finding it.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the office and the unexpected wisdom it offers about community and isolation.
Until next time, bye.